Should you summon on the 15x rate up in Wancho Realms for the brand spanking new Cosmic Centaur Fenris and the absolutely phenomenal Magda? Well, I thought we could do a pretty interesting video here. TLDR, both these heroes are good. Magda is phenomenal. Fenris, at the very least, should be great, potentially amazing for Guild Wars defense, and for other stuff should be a good to fantastic AoE marksman. However, AoE marksman, not the most important role in the game, so that's something we'll have to discuss. I want to make this more interesting, though. So this is the Fastidious test server. You'll see me toggle between the two. I figure we do a pure damage test here, him against as many mobs as we can muster him to go up against, just kind of like a punching bag test here in 121 with Power of Dominance turned off. And then just so you guys can see him practically used in some content, I'll bring him into Gear Raid 321. We'll do like broken set, tier 1 only. It will still be good stats because I don't really have bad gear on the test server, but it'll be a pretty realistic build and he's going to completely own the left side. All right, guys, this is super important. I just finished filming the whole video and doing a lot of testing at the end of it. And actually, I'm so happy I did this testing and I did as many little comparisons as I did. Fenris's DPS definitely surprised me in a bad way. It's not bad, so I don't want to be overreactionary and crazy. It's not bad, but it is not special at all. And actually, I found Maul was doing a better job of clearing the left side in 321 than he does. I highly suggest you watch all my testing. When it comes to just pure DPS per hit, he's pretty impressive. However, I do find him vastly limited by two things. So one of them is he can only hit 5 enemies with his basic attack, which is like a feature that Nyx doesn't have. She only hits 1 enemy, but then she has all these splash explosions around it. So she's hitting like 8 or 10 enemies. Maul is hitting multiple enemies. You visually can see it's more than 5. Same thing with Razak. This really hampers him. And then the second thing, so we'll transition to that. If this was a lower cost, so it's 700 with skill ups, if this was like 500, then he would be on the level with Maul. And actually, I mean, obviously he'd be better. The thing Maul has on him, though, Fenris's ult hits harder and Fenris's basic hits harder, as you'll see, Maul is hitting more enemies with his basic and his ult is happening more because it's only 500 cost. So it was kind of nuts. It was kind of nuts. So I really suggest you go and you watch it. If you want, at the very least, please go to the end where I give my concluding thoughts. But I think post-testing, I think it's pretty important that you really know who this character is. The DPS is not bad at all, but it is not special at all. The crowd control is very good. Is that enough to elevate him to being a great hero? I would say no. He's definitely not a bad hero. I'd still probably qualify him as a good hero, but is he someone you seek out on this banner? I think if you don't want Magda, it's a pretty crazy skip. He's still going to be good in the things I think he'll be good in, especially Guild Wars defense, but I actually think the ceiling on how good he can be, especially in other things like a Furious Torrent or maybe future Voidress stuff, I think that's far less. So stick with the video. I think you'll learn a lot. I think the video actually turned out really well, even though it took me far longer than I ever anticipated. And then if you just want to know, I'll tell you right now, I'm still going to summon, but maybe before I was thinking I was going to summon 400 or 500 pulls. I'm probably just going to pull to my first legendary YOLO, 100, 200 pulls, whatever it takes. Hopefully it's one of these two. And if it's not, it's not. Because yeah, he's not on the level. He's not. So that's something to look forward to. And I'm going to show you how to build him live. So what I'll do here for Gear Raid 1, I'll go for like the optimal build, what I think people will be doing or close to what people will be doing at like very high levels of Guild Wars defense. Obviously, I cannot test Guild Wars right now in the test server. They still need to fix that, but I'll go for like that very high-end endgame build, and then we'll go for something a little more reasonable and realistic when we get into the stuff for left side DPS on 321. Before we do all that fun stuff I know you're looking forward to, we got to get to the bottom of who is Fenris. If you want to learn the kit, I have a video out on him already. Looks like a bunch of you guys already watched him. I just break down exactly how this works. But TLDR, when he has a shield, his basic attack range expands. He already has a huge basic attack range. It's the same. This is his default, so it only gets bigger than this. But this is the same as every other, piercing damage, AoE, 22 cost, legendary marksman. I've seen a lot of people, a shocking number of people, to be honest, whining about Fenris's cost. He's an AoE legendary marksman. I don't know if people realize, but Watcher of Realms, when they determine cost, they have like hero archetypes, and then almost without fail, they always have the same cost. So any AoE piercing damage marksman that is a legendary that has this basic attack range and has a really big ult range, I mean, his is humongous, they're all 22 cost. Razak, Kai, Nyx, anyone you can think of. Is that all of them? Is there someone I'm forgetting? But yeah, basically, if you're an actual AoE, not a mix, not a hybrid, pure AoE piercing damage marksman, you're 22 costs. So he's really standard in those respects, but he's got the huge range. It gets bigger, so he'll have like the biggest basic attack range, and he can do it all himself, right? He is not, he gives shields to himself, and then his lord can do it. He's not dependent on like a piercer lord that's always needed to make marksmen that are piercers have the longer range. On top of that, as we touched on, this 6x3 range is as big an AoE range as you'll ever see in all of Watch Realms. Only the periodic huge AoE bursts from Ingrid are bigger because they just go on infinitely as long as the map is. I mean, this thing is crazy and it is huge. You can see all of his basic attacks, and then whenever this passive is triggered, which is every 10 seconds with skill ups, they're gonna inflict a 50% slow. So I see a lot of people calling him Legendary Maul. In many ways, he kind of feels that way. You're gonna see it is similar. He's definitely better, at least for like that super endgame stuff. He's better. Like you want tons and tons of consistent slows, right? That's what makes Greed and Beelzebub so good for slow kind of content. If you're talking AMR 22, or if you're talking Gear Dungeon 2, Stage 10, Greed actually isn't even continuous, right? His ult just comes back so fast. But the reason Beelzebub's so good is he just keeps putting it out. I mean, this is as good as Beelzebub, right? Beelzebub, when he ults, it goes up to 75%, but this 50% just constant slow on all his attacks is completely remarkable. The only attacks that don't apply these constant huge AoE slows is his ultimate. However, that gives a 3-second stun to 10 enemies and a knockback. So his crowd control capabilities are phenomenal. You know, he's got the stun, Maul's got the freeze, Maul gets a defense break. He doesn't get his defense break until A3, but all in all, he's got better DPS and far more consistent uptime on his CC. Not to say Maul's CC, crowd control is what I mean by CC. Not to say Maul's isn't great, but Fenris is another level, and maybe you've heard the chatter. There are definitely going to be some whales trying to get him and get many awakenings. It's tough to say because we cannot test him in Guild Wars on the test server, which does kind of drive me crazy. How good he's going to be? At worst, he'll be great, like a better version than Maul. At best, he could make Northerners meta. TBD. I don't want to overcommit to anything. Outside of that, he's fantastic. Is he as good at DPS as Nyx? No. And do you need a lot of AoE piercing damage DPS currently in the game? No, right? There's very limited content. There's cool things you can do in Gear Dungeon 2 where he actually probably could fit into some DPS knockback role. Would take some experimenting, but he should unlock that stuff. Regardless, he could just be really, really good DPS on that left side column down, at least up through stage 7 and stage 8. And then certainly Gear 8-3, phenomenal. Campaign and Void Rift, if you care, he'll be phenomenal there. And then like the really key thing that where he's going to shine is Guild Wars defense, as we discussed, and then Furious Torrent. Even though he's not a piercer, he easily could be used on a top end Furious Torrent team. Am I talking a top 100 team? I'd be surprised. With Awakenings, my mind wouldn't be blown, though. But yeah, I don't know if his potential is that high, but certainly he can get you to the promised land of a very high rating, probably even a triple S if you had a good team around him. It's pretty cool what he enables, and especially if you get those Awakenings and you get the defense break eventually, then he's just, if you can get that A3, he's kind of strictly better than Maul in every way, except for Maul at A5 goes down to 17 costs, and Fenris at A2 goes down to 19 costs. But as you guys will learn, if when you get later in the game, cost is not such a consideration. And this is not prohibitively expensive. This is the standard cost. It's the same as Nyx, right? So if we look at the other stuff, the final thing that makes him really super special that I really think people are sleeping on is he gives rage regen. So yes, is it as good as Eloin? No. But is anyone as good as Eloin? No. And he's the first non-healer in the game to give team-wide rage regeneration. So if you have some way, whether it be from like a legendary lord skill that is giving shields to all factions, or an epic or rare lord skill that's giving shields just to the Northerners, and then maybe a shielder like a Gwendolyn or a Vortex, if you're very early game, maybe Camille. Anytime any ally has a shield with skill ups, they're getting 1% rage regen per second. It lasts 10 seconds. So as long as an ally is getting a shield, every 10 seconds, it will keep resetting. And it's like, then it is the element effect, right? As long as those shields are frequent. So if you have content, you know, where you've got a Gwendolyn or a Vortex and they be healing, it's completely unique and powerful. So he's really, really, really cool. And I'll tell you, I've been thinking about it all week long, and I am going to pull tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to go insanely crazy, but I'll do a couple hundred summons probably. Also, I love Magda, who we're going to talk about in a second. I only have her A1, only A1, but I love her. I'd love to have an A5 Magda one day. So yeah, but Fenris was what pushed me over the edge, because this is another thing, right? Elwyn's cool. There are comps in Guild Wars defense for sure where Elwyn's fantastic, but for a lot of stuff, like maybe I want to use my Lily, or maybe one day I'll get Carnelian. Then, you know, you don't have the rage regen, but then he's bringing it while bringing DPS and, most importantly, crazy crowd control. So when you're assessing should you summon, definitely stay for a second when we do the live tests and I teach you how to build him, but definitely make that consideration what your priorities are. If you're still progressing through the game, he's a sick pickup. Is he needed? I don't know. Like if you want to pull, and if you don't have him and Magda and like you're earlier on in the game, both of them will help your account in a huge way. And Magda is just so good for so much. You know, if you're in that late game, not yet the end game, hyper focused on Guild Wars, maybe you need to wait for like that arrogance you don't have, or the Silas you don't have, or the Virna to bond your Silas, or the Hex, you know, or maybe you're really focused on Abyss 1. He's obviously not going to help there. But certainly once you're in the end game, like I am, I could see this guy really doing amazing things for me in Guild Wars, and who else knows what's to come. There's no way. He's already going to be amazing in Northern Faction Trials, just like completely insanely good. And then who knows what stage 15 of Northern Faction Trials are. I could see him being like required. You know, we're going to get a Heart of Void Rift, they said, in a couple months. He should be phenomenal there. This level of crowd control is unique, and it's crazy, right? So I'm not saying he's triple S. I'm not even saying he's S+, but I'm saying there's certain specific things that he will be like S+ quality for, at least S. And in general, he's no worse than like an A+ hero, if not better. It depends what your account needs and also how certain PvP things bear out, particularly Guild Wars defense. So that's going to be Fenris. Let me know if you guys are pulling for him. We are going to do a big pulls party. We'll see how big, but a pulls party for Fenris and Magda. That will be tomorrow, or maybe the time you're seeing this, just in a couple hours. That will be at 12 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Central European time. All the other time zones, you guys can do the math. I have to do the math. I'm not in either of those time zones. You got it. So there you go. Fenris, very, very cool at the least. Magda, I'll go real quick. Put 1 minute on the clock or whatever. She gets this crazy crit damage boost when an ally dies. You can do spammy stuff with Cerberus, or what I love to do is use the epic Aatrox. Just put him in her range and then let it happen. Huge AoE, magic damage. Very, very, very good on Magda. And we got this crazy better AoE where these count as basic attacks, but now they're triple hitters on each. It's a huge amount of damage. It lasts for 30 seconds with skill ups. Definitely you want this max skill. Bring it down to 900 costs. And then this is what makes Magda the most unique. She gives in the entire square around her. So not this farthest row here, but this row, then right of her, left of her, and then the 3 behind her. She gives any ally in any of those spots permanently a huge penetration boost and a huge damage increase. So with max skill ups, this is a penetration boost of 15% just the whole time anyone's in her range, those 8 tiles surrounding her, and then a 20% damage boost with skill ups. It is phenomenal. And again, she's doing this very supporty skill on as a huge DPS kind of unit. She also has knockback, which is pretty darn cool. You can use her in fun things. It really just allows her to tank longer or makes your tank's life easier if she's behind. She's very good. She's got Strong Awakenings. You can get this instant cost generation on that first deployment. If you do the ally death spam, the A3 is going to give her a ton more targets she can hit on both her basic attacks and her ultimate. And then finally at A5, increased attack speed at 100. Yeah, frankly, for me, I'd be happy even just getting to A2. Frankly, I have A1. I'd love to get the plus 300. But she's she's fantastic. She's one of the best fighters in the game. So is this banner to the level of the best banner ever? No, but it's a good banner for sure, because both of the legendaries are good, and we don't get that a lot. So yeah, for me, I'm definitely deciding to go for it. If you're a new player, Gluttony is fantastic, especially for progression. You'll outgrow him later on, and then Olog is the best epic tank in the game when it comes to tanking. Selkath might be the worst epic in the game, so ignore him. Anyway, let's get to that testing, and then once we've done the testing, we can bring it home. I'm going to do all this live and uncut with you guys right now. So why am I using Gear Aid 1? He's an AoE DPS, so I want as many units to hit as possible. It's also going to be a real test because they obviously have really high defense. That's why I typically use magic damage instead of piercing or physical damage for this stage. But I think he'll be pretty cool here. Should be a good test. First, we'll test him, and then we'll do Nyx. We're actually going to do 2 tests with him. It's going to be like Fenris, then Fenris with Vortex putting shields on, and then it's going to be, Nyx. Because he's obviously going to need a boost from the shields. We can see how that basic attack range might, actually it'll be hard to visualize, but we will get the boost from Elder's Lord skill. Speaking of which, I need to bring one other healer. So it shouldn't be Element. I don't want to bring Rage Regen. Actually, it doesn't matter. But let's bring Pharisee. That's fine. So we can quick equip him quickly. He's actually already wearing stuff. Let's throw this on. Let's actually make sure he's an Invig so quickly. Thank you guys for bearing with me. My dog is clawing at my door. Got to stay focused. All right, let's go. All right, let's take this from Gwendolyn, and then we'll take any piece here for the main stat. Okay, let's throw that on. This is plenty. I just want to make sure it's consistent with the Invig buffs. All right, so let's build Fenris, right? So how would you build him for like a super endgame build? Well, knowing how his kit works, right? He does do tons and tons of basic attacks because his ult is this one singular thing. The animation of the ult lasts only 2 seconds. It's a burst AoE skill. It's like this big blast, as you can see in the image right here, and then he goes back to basic attacking. However, the damage from this and also the damage from the cosmic bursts are not going to scale with Infernal Roar, so Infernal Roar will be a bad choice. However, because he's going to for that very brief amount of time, he's going to ult and stop basic attacking, but it's so brief, he'll just go back to basic attacking right after. Cataclysm is very good for him, especially with the buff. So you can put him in Cataclysm or Soulbound Arcana. I'm going to go for Soulbound Arcana. We're talking endgame stuff or late game stuff, right? I just think it's cleaner that way, and it's more realistic to the gear people actually have, though I am going to go for big stats. And then if you're building anyone, this is just a good tip, guys. If you're building anything for any kind of, honestly, any part, even early game, but let's say mid game or later, and you care about Guild Wars defense, attack is totally king. You have to just break those defenses and make your attack higher than the defenses of the Demon Soldiers. We're running triple attack on the right. It's a total no-brainer. And when you reach like that end game and people have high level Demon Soldiers, you have to run triple attack on the right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look for this, and maybe we can pick up a little Rage Regen. Not that we'll need it for this test, but just to show you what the build could look like, because if you're using him in Guild Wars, you really want him cycling through that ultimate. So let's throw this piece on. The ultimate, you can see, it's only 700 cost with skill ups, so might feel like a lot, but he can go through that real quick. So again, you won't see that we're just going to do one bit of testing here. You won't see a ton you won't see such a clear example of that, but you'll be able to see how to build him, and then you can theory craft how to use him in Guild Wars. All right, a lot of these pieces are just going to be good. Nothing we can do about it. So yeah, we got Rage Regen to the moon. Let's give him a little attack speed here. Actually, we're building him like crazy, right? So let's just do it. Warlord with a little trip thing. Let's snag this one. We already have enough crit rate. And then I'll tell you, we could have picked up a little more crit rate, and then I could just ignore crit rate here. Obviously, we still need the 10%. So we'll just go like this with perfect subs, and boom. So I think this is probably about as primo a build as you might expect. To be fair, with Guild Wars, I probably obviously would have given some consideration to, let's put him here with the Sharpshooter's Crest. I would have given some consideration to putting him with more HP. This HP, unless he was hidden away, which you could do, depends on the map and depends on the season, 20k HP likely you'd want closer to like 25 or even 30 plus. But with such a huge range, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, very often you'll be able to hide him away, so he's kind of untouched until it's too late anyway. So yeah, we're using our A0 Fenris. This is our build. I put on a maxed out Sharpshooters. Very likely in Guild Wars, you might want him in an Idril's Gaze. However, I need to actually do this content properly. So we're going to do him and Nyx in the Sharpshooters. I won't use Nyx as exclusive. So for attack, we're at 17,634. His base attack is slightly lower than Nyx and Razak. They're just over 4,000. He's just under. So we got up to 17.6. 2.1 second interval is quite good at 346 attack speed. Not amazing, but it's nice. Still almost at 300% crit damage, even with all the attack to the moon. This attack is huge for less than 4,000 base. And then very healthy, almost 70% Rage Regen. And then we'll just take this build and put it right on Nyx. Okay, so there you go. Let's get in there and let's test. Here's my A0 Diao Chan. She's an Invig and all that stuff. All right, so let's do this testing and let's just try to slow it down and get a view of these damage numbers. It's always hard, but we'll do our best. The ult should be humongous damage, even at A0. So let's place Fenris here. Let's place Diao Diao here. Let's switch her to DPS mode. So now she's in the black, and she's going to be applying in 1 second. We'll see it. Yeah, there we go. The penetration and the damage boost and everything, the inspiration. Let's wait a moment. He's going to start attacking any second. So first, let's test this basic attack. So Pharisie's there. I don't even know why Pharisie's there, because the test will end before these scourges come out. But anyway, let's see. 17K I'm seeing. 17. Remember, the defense is sky high. So this is a rough test, but it's very hard to... I don't know why we're seeing these additional instances. 13K. Let's go super slow-mo here. Hitting 5 targets. 4.9. The attack might just not be clearing it. 4.9. Okay, so let's ult now. Super slow-mo. 37.4. Pretty solid given how high their defense is and how low the attack is. So was that 37.4, and then we saw the rest in the range of like 4 to 13K. Let's watch one more time. 7.3 now. I guess he got a soulbound stack or something. 7.3. Okay, cool. Let's do the same thing with Nyx just while those numbers are fresh, and then we'll actually, so we're going slightly out of order. Then I'll do Fenris with Vortex. So we'll do a little gear swapping around. And guys, I know this is a amazingly imperfect test, but I do feel like consistently, especially testing AoE in this game, our hands are tied because there's no proper like training mode, dummy, crash test dummy guys to hit. But anyway, let's take that gear and just immediately move it over to our A0 Nyx. The game is freezing a little bit. All right, so let's go here. Let's give her a maxed out sharpshooters as well. Okay, let's switch his gear. So here's Fenris. Let's just move it back over. Perfect. Just want to double check that, obviously we have A5s of everything on the test server as well. Okay, this is A0. So we have those numbers in our head. Let's bring it back. We're running next with Yovar. Obviously, he didn't get a great benefit of Elder because we didn't do shields, except for when he did the ult. Oh, that's why I went up to 7.3. I just realized because his ult lasted those 10 seconds after. But she's not going to get the full benefit of Yovar. That would take a minute. Maybe by the end, we'll see the full benefit because it stacks 3 times and it can stack 3 times and it stacks once every 20 seconds. All right, let's head back in. So yeah, trust me, don't think, because Nyx's numbers are going to be low here too, don't think it means both these guys suck. This is just not the right content, but at least it's a perfect pure comparison. If you want to see Fenris melt, and then you can imagine how Nyx would melt, that will all happen in Gear Aid 321, which we'll do right after this. I don't know what that was. That little zoom move. All right, let's just place Pharisee just to make it exactly the same. All right, here they come. So we're seeing 12. Remember, I think we were seeing 13 at the beginning. We're seeing 12 and 3. Now we're seeing 5. Very hard to see. Let's slow-mo it. And remember, Nyx isn't going to be a big burst, right? Hers is going to be a juiced up 5K. It's very similar, slightly better for Nyx. And then there's the bomb after for 2.9. Let's see. About exactly 5K, and then about exactly 2.9. So it's 5,090 and 2.97. All right, so let's ult with her. All right, there we go. So 4.2. So just extra explosions, and then 5.5 plus the Soulman Arcana boost. So you can see, pretty comparable. I'll tell you, for any long-form content, Nyx will be better. He's burstier, which could be really nice for Guild Wars, right? Those bursts, especially if you get a lot of rage regen. But in general, because, this is going to last 30 seconds for Nyx, right? Pretty crazy, and 35 seconds with Awakenings. But yeah, you can see 2, 4, and 5K. So pretty similar. He had the big bursts, but the numbers are comparable. Let's compare him with some shielding. Though we did kind of get the shield enabling from his ultimate, so we did get to see that. But just for completionist's sake, let's do that quickly. So just pop all that gear back over. We put a different sharpshooter on Nyx, so I can just move it right back. This is strange. Why is it going like that? There we go. Let's put it on. Great. Let's double check. 17.6. Perfect. All right, so this time I'll just use Vortex instead of Pharisee. This will be the last of our boring tests. We just need to set some baselines. I've also got Vortex in a Tumultuous Horn, so he can quickly get his ult up, so we don't have to worry about that. All right, let's go Fenris here. Still taking Vortex kind of forever. All right, we'll get a before and after. Let's throw this on 1x. So there we're seeing huge hits. Just these initial guys are weaker. It's the back guys that's where we're getting the worst numbers because there we go, 6.4. They just must have their defense truly to the moon. They really want using magic damage on this stage. You know, it's still in 6.4. All right. Let's throw the shield on. Let's get one more hit here. 4.9, same exact stuff as before. Let's throw the shields up. 1x. 5.6. 5.6. So really comparable to Nyx, right? Nyx gets those extra little bombs, though. Let's get the ult here. I'm just going to let it go. Let's see it. 37.4. So the ult is crazy there. 37.4. Now we're up to 7.3. He's got the shield on, and then this little post-ult glory. So pretty similar. You can see in certain ways his defense is very comparable to Nyx. In certain ways she's better, and then in a couple ways he's better. So I think that's pretty high praise. So if he was like an AoE mage or something much more in demand than an AoE marksman, I think the hype could be a lot huger. Certainly he's fantastic at what he's doing here. We'll see that now on Gear 8.3. But I gotta say, I'm impressed, and I'm pretty high on him for Guild Wars defense. And then potential future content where we need this, right? Because right now there's just not much. If you're progressing though, he'd be a huge pickup, especially if you got him off banner and you're progressing. You know, you still haven't beaten all your gear raids or all your gear dungeons, and you're just starting to get into PvP stuff. He's pretty exciting in that regard. Okay, Gear 8.3, you can see Power Dominance is off. I geared everyone, but I do think I took a piece off of Siadless and off of Laurel, so give me one moment. We can just quick equip. I don't care. We're going to build Fenris from scratch in 1 second. Like I said, this will be like our tier 1 build. This is fine already for Laurel. She doesn't need left side gear. All right, so let's go here. Let's take all this off. So I'll try to just go. The stats are going to be amazing. So I'll go broken set, and I'll go tier 1 only. So let's just click. I mean, I guess I only had to click those first few, the actual DPS sets, but all right, ideally, the way I like to do it when I do a takeover is something. So that's how we'll gear now. I want attack bonus on the bangle and the ring. You certainly, let me explain. But I like to go 2 attack bonus, 1 attack speed for an AoE marksman. It just makes it so easy to handle the left side. If you want to go higher DPS, maybe it's something like Furious Torrent. If you're earlier on, if you're not making that deep in the battle, you can totally do attack bonus crit damage, or some combination of 2 attack bonus, 1 crit damage within the 3 right side slots. And then I'd say for something like Void Rift or Campaign, certainly I would always go to 2 attack bonus, 1 crit damage. But for this, I think the right way to build him would be something like this. We don't need that Rage Regen. I'd rather get a better attack. Come on, let's give some more even rolls here. That's flat attack. That piece is probably too OP. This is probably good if we can pick up more crit rate. Some of these pieces are just too strong. I don't want to use them. All right, I would like a little more crit damage. All right, this looks fine. Let's throw that on. So for the same kind of piece here, okay, this piece looks great. And now I want attack speed, which is a huge attack bonus roll, and then who cares about the next? This looks pretty good, maybe a little too strong. All right, this feels pretty nice. I feel like anyone can pick this up in 218 or 219 or something. So yeah, is the gear good? Sure, but it's broken set, right? It's all tier 1. We'll do the same here. So we could even pick up Annihilating Might or how do you call it? Calamity. I think we'll probably end up going Annihilating Might, because why not? Since we kind of didn't take any crit damage main stat. So let's see. Huge rolls. Those are too good. That's more like it. And then here we'll go for the triple, not the quad. So let's just see. What do we got? All right, we got to go for an ancient. So all the gear's ancient just because all the gear on my test server is ancient, but you can get all this stuff not ancient as well, right? We're going broken set. So what do we end up with? We are at artifact still good, right? Yeah, cool. So ideally you want at least 13,000 attack. Sometimes, especially if you got like a warlord set to use on the left, you could get this over 15k. This is for any AoE marksman for Gear 8.3, but I would just suggest that. But this will be fine, nearly 14k. And then he's pretty dang fast, 496. This is going to be awesome. It's just going to be punishing damage. And then you'll see, I didn't build him for the big blasty ult, but you could do that. You could really ignore the attack speed and just take advantage of that huge burst ult. But I thought I'd show you how I'd build him just in general, per se, because you also are going to want a lot of crowd control if you're using him in other content as well. You don't want to lean entirely into that ultimate, though some good crowd control comes with that ultimate as well. So nearly 300% crit damage, basically crit capped. This should be pretty good. Actually, guys, if you'll humor me here for a second, I'm realizing that build, not 300% crit damage, broken set, and attack sub 14k, probably without a Lord, because we were running him Lordless here. That was the plan. I think that's going to be insufficient. I think we're going to kill the middle so fast from my little testing before that we can just take out Hollow. We won't need any heals. Let's just go in. Let's just bring in Isolde. We don't have to go too crazy, but let's just give him a Lord, and let's head into battle. So we're using the same exact build, but now he's got the Lord, so he'll get the little attributes, and he'll get a little more consistency on the shields, because not just from himself when he ults, he'll get some shields here and there and everywhere from Isolde. All right, so let's enter the battle. First, a little bit, we just got to focus on the middle before they come out on the left, and then Fenris will be the star of the show. Let's place Dallin there, throw on 2x. Let's wait till we get 12 costs, and we're going to play Silas. And you saw the Fenris build, obviously tier 1, broken set, good stats, but quite reasonable. The Silas and Idril builds are not reasonable, but that's because who cares? They're here just to clean up the middle so we can focus on the left. But don't think I'm trying to sell their builds as accessible when you're trying to first clear 321. That's not this. Okay, so let's place Laurel, pick her up. Now Idril's ready. Let's ult. And you can see Idril's cleaning up. Very nice. So you can sometimes use Diao Chain as a battery if you want, but this Idril's doing plenty damage, so I don't have to. Let's throw it on 1x. Let's get our Fenris placed. Okay, now let's ult with Silas, and we should take care of the middle here. Place Volca here to tank some damage in the middle, just in case. And this way they don't focus on Fenris. Let's throw it on 1x in a second. We're about to get this kill. Can Silas finish it off for us? Yes, he can. All right, so we can pick these guys up. All right, so let's focus on the left now. We got to the point we needed to get to. So let's just quickly see before he ults what the basics are. Starting for 38, is that right? 38.7. All right, let's go for the ult. 258k, pretty dang nice. $38.7 again. So does it show me when he's if it does not? Oh, it does. It actually, you can see the basic attack range get bigger. So he gets, it's like basically like he has a Piercer Lord because he's still shielded. So normally it should be 3x4 with the one in the middle, or should it be 5x3? No, I think it is the 5x3. Basically, it's like he always has a Piercer Lord. That's kind of what it comes down to. Let's throw on 2x while he cleans this up. Okay. That was his little cosmic thing at the end. That's how he got that last little pick off. So that definitely helped. All right, let's go for Idril here. All right, cool. Place Hotsit here just to clean up that one. And now let's see him take on the left. The next left is going to be hard, right? Because that wasn't, the damage is quite good. This build is clearly holding him back. But I would say he's definitely not underperforming my expectation, but in no capacity is he overperforming my expectation. It's not like some GG broken OP melt job in terms of his raw DPS and the multipliers. But I will say, combined with the power of his crowd control, the DPS is like more than you'd expect. Okay, let's ult with Hotsin, just get rid of this. There we go. We can place Silas here. All right, so quickly, before I pick up, I want to see same numbers, 38. Let's ult 258 again. Let's pick up. Idril can help out a bit. She's going to have to do her stuff anyway. So they just like are moving right away. It's very weird. What is that? Does Nyx or Maul normally kill that quickly? There's no way. Let's actually put Nyx in the same build, and I want to compare. I'll fast forward to that. Give me one moment. I'll show you the stats quickly, if it lets me. It's frozen now. All right, unfroze. Here are the stats. Not that it matters so much. You can see he's cleaning up the left. Interesting, though. I feel like they settle a second time, but let's put Nyx in the same gear. Obviously, she's going to have the benefit of a Yovar. But yeah, let's see it. I'll fast forward to that part where Nyx is doing the end, and we'll see. Give me one moment. All right, so we're at the point here where they're just coming out. Let's ult with Nyx. Or let me show you her basics. So she's doing like 38 on the little bombs and like 60 with the max sacks from Yovar. Let's go here and let's ult with her. So I'm curious if she just can clean them up that faster. She really can. The Yovar, maybe I should have done it with Lunaria. But yeah, so I think actually that broken Fenris build, like let's be honest, it wasn't enough. So yeah, the damage is certainly not overwhelming in any capacity. Hurts that he's not a piercer. If he was a piercer, he'd be able to do not what Nyx can do. No one can do what Nyx can do, but something closer. Let me just fast forward again. Well, actually, before I do, let's just see. What if we build him properly in like a Night Terror set? What if we polish that set off? Let's see. So a little less of a janky build. So right now, Nyx is wearing exactly the same gear we had on Fenris. We got to be thorough in this testing, right? I don't know where Nyx went, so let's just search for her. All right, there you go. Exact same gear as before, right? Looks like less, but it's just because they're not counting the artifact. So 13.9. Okay, so we went attack bonus, attack speed, attack bonus. I think I don't want to mess up the right side, though probably we'd be better off going attack bonus, crit damage in some combination. I just want to stick to it just because I feel like it should work. Looks like we don't have a choice, though, because I don't have any attack bonus main stat pieces. Yeah, this doesn't have crit damage. Might be a little light, though we do have a nice flat attack. Now let's go with one of the crit damage pieces. This is the problem with the test server. It's just too much good gear. Weird problem to have. All right, let's take that. Now let's throw an attack bonus one here. So here's like a bit more optimal of a build, right? Leaning heavier into a bit of everything. So actually went down a little bit on the attack, but now we got the crit damage up. What is that? Almost exactly 30%. Attack speed's down about 100, so that's actually a worthy trade-off. And then certainly much better that we have the build, right? So everything he's going to do is a crit, so it's just a 25% damage boost. Let's see if that at least is enough to cut it. So I'm just going to re-enter the battle, and we'll pick it up at the same part we just picked it up with Nyx. 1 second. All right, this is the first round on the left, but I do want to show you guys how big a difference a full set makes. Not that that's the point of the video, but he was hitting for like 37, and now he's hitting for 52.7. So it's like a 40+ % increase in damage, which is kind of strange. Well, we did also improve the build with the crit damage, because I was going to say that's not just from the Night Terror, but between the Night Terror and the improved crit damage, it's a big difference. All right, let's ult and let's see it. Yeah, pretty huge, 332. Let's see, is that going to be enough, though? Is that going to be enough? I'll see you again in a second. All right, here we go. Let's let Hotset take care of this one on the side. Okay. Up, let's get Silas. All right, they should come out any second. So it should be just like back to 52 or whatever. Yeah, there you go. You saw the quick cosmic whatever for 140 wasted on just one unit. All right, let's go for a big ult here. So it should hit everyone, right? Huge range, 6x3. We got to pick up Laurel in a second too, so Idril can help out a little bit. So is that going to be enough? Still no. So yeah, I got to say, I'm actually disappointed. I'll probably have to put a teaser at the beginning. Can Idril finish this off? She can. So we still did it. But yeah, no, like I think without a doubt, I guess now I'm about to say it, so I'm going to have to test it. I actually think Maul would beat that. I think Maul in that build would be able to polish that off. So let me test that. Let me test that quickly. Let's move the gear over to Maul, and I'll see you in another second. But I will say at this point, I am disappointed. This build should be good enough. And so far, it hasn't been. All right, so here's Maul. Obviously, we're using an A5 Maul. He's an epic. Putting the exact same gear on. Let's put on the sharpshooters. can just take it from Nyx. We're done with her. All right, so let's see. Can Maul do it? Catch you in a second. All right, very quickly, here's the first round, but I just want to see how the basic attacks stack up. So let's see. She's in for 75. So Maul's actually blowing that. Oh, those are the big hits. But actually, I take it back entirely. That was just him triggering his passive. So Maul's definitely doing worse on the basics. He's coming in at 35.7. Remember, this new build was like 52 point something for Fenris. All right, let's see the second group, and let's see how it goes. All right, here we go. Throw it on 1x. Let's clean that up with hot sit. All right, Maul, are you about to put this guy to shame? Let's wait till all these guys are almost out. We'll have Laurel there for the damage boost. All right, let's go. So Maul's saying for 285, so it actually still is less. Let's go with Idril. Looks like Maul's going to fail too. So I think I'm pretty shocked. He's doing better though. These guys are out of Maul's range now. He still did it though, right? He still did it, and his ult came back way faster because it's cheaper. So I actually think Maul is superior for this. So the DPS isn't bad at all. Like, it's way better than Nyx's AoE DPS, right? It's not Nyx, excuse me. I always mix up. Nyx is the queen. It's way better than Lynx, for example, who I don't like her DPS. Oh, look at that. Look at that on the test server. But clearly the DPS disappoints. And like, if you needed just for this role, why would you invest with him? That's him with full skill ups. Why would you invest with him over Maul? So actually, I'm going to have to do a big disclaimer at the start of the video, because I'll say I'm still quite intrigued by him. I'm still going to probably pull just for one legendary. And like, is it Fenris or Magda tomorrow? But I definitely would say, because the DPS is as fine as it is, like, you can't call it bad. There's gonna be haters in the comments that call it bad, but it's not special at all. And certainly, when I think the difference is Maul was hitting, like, he's limited to the 5 units on his basic. I think that's basically what it came down to. This is the one. Don't worry, the one we were using was skilled up. But I can't imagine there's such a limitation on Maul. Visually, it doesn't look like it at all, and it certainly doesn't state it. I think Maul's probably hitting 7, 8, or 10 units. But he's limited to the 5, so you see he kills like half of them, but then the rest just made it through. So kind of a huge disappointment. I am glad I did this testing, even though it ended up being more than I thought. So let's wrap up the video now so I can go film that disclaimer to put at the beginning. But all in all, I'd say the crowd control is awesome, but the DPS was, I would say, disappointing, because I had a higher expectation. Not to say it's bad, but it's not special. And certainly there's no way he would be getting some super special grade, because this basically disqualifies him for like any higher end Furious Torrent team. He's going to be limited now just to like general progression, cool stuff in campaign and Void Rift, but not that important. And then should be fairly spicy in Guild Wars defense. But I'll say, I wonder if he's good enough to justify using in an off meta faction, because the only specialness he was going to bring is if, at least as I see it, as if he was so good and so powerful with this mix of DPS and crowd control, he was going to elevate Northerners to new heights. But I don't see that yet. There's no way he's going to be bad in GVG defense. He'll still be very good. But yeah, all in all, I got to go film that disclaimer, because yeah, I hope people make it to the end and actually watch this, because it's the numbers are big, but it's not enough. I think he's getting this could be a quick fix for them. Make this 10 enemies. I mean, no one else has such a restriction, right? I already showed you Maul, and then to show you the other big ones, right? With Nyx, no, it's the one enemy, but then you get the bombs and the splash on everything, so it's everything, right? The dagger returns, and you get the bombs. You have Razak, multiple enemies. It's definitely more than the 5. Then we've got Kai. So Kai has the limitation with the 5 enemies, but he gets the burst from the snares. Interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Thank you guys so much for watching. When it comes to should you summon, I would say post-testing, I did say we'd save our conclusions for the end. Post-testing, if you really want Magda, definitely go for it. Fenris is definitely still good. So this does qualify as a banner where there are 2 good heroes. Does not feel like he's great. So I think he's going to be a skip for a lot of accounts. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. Share with your mother, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.